Hi, Marty.
Hi, Kate. How are you?
I'm good.
What's happening?
Welcome to Romance Writers Therapy.
Woo! Where Kate and I attempt to rub two brain cells together.
Oh my god, that really is that kind of night.
It is that kind of night. Yeah, we were just discussing, like, if there's something, like, broken in our system and see if it, like, can be fixed. Because, yeah, we keep on having to record on these days where...
It's just a low energy night, you know?
Yeah.
We were talking about, is it Tuesday? Is it just us?
Yeah, is it just us?
Is it just
that
us?
Sounds so sad. Is it me? Listener, I feel like we do this so often where, like, we just start off and I just start rambling and then I feel bad for taking you on that little trip.
You know, I don't know why we even bother trying to come up with, like, episode topics because, like, clearly we don't care for them in actual practice.
In actual
practice. I enjoy being taken on, like, a little ramble. So, like,
I mean, I think
I'm never upset by it.
I think if listeners hear, they have to also enjoy being taken on a little ramble. Like, I don't think that you continue coming back to us without
expecting the ramble.
Yeah, exactly. Without being like, this is the vibe I'm going for. I also have a goldfish brain, like, sort of thing. But Kate, do you want to tell listener and me, like, what's been going on?
Sure. I finished my werewolf book.
Woo!
And I feel pretty good about it, but I also, like, the mental health is in a place where I'm like, I feel good about it, but I'm not gonna look at it, because if I look at it, I feel like I will stop feeling good about it.
Big frickin' mood, man.
Like, if I just pretend that it, like, if I don't look at it, it's not gonna have flaws. And, like,
yeah,
you know, that's the state of, like, Schrodinger's
cat
progress that
yeah. I feel that as well. So right now I'm sending out Hazel and Elijah to ARC readers. I was super anxious, and then I listened to this podcast and this woman was like, I mean, you could be anxious or you could be excited. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm excited. That's the feeling I'm feeling, right? And so I totally had my brain tricked. And I'm like, this is awesome. Life is great. And then I had to start reading, like, the book to pull quotes and excerpts and stuff like that. And
that's the worst part.
Yeah, landed right back into anxiety. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. And, like, the book is done. It's been proofread and everything. And I'm like, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to look at it. That's not a good place for my brain to be. But I got my first review in and it went really, really well. That's awesome. I forgot my dog outside. Andrew and the kids are home.
Go get him?
No, Andrew and the kids just got home. They'll get him.
Okay.
But I thought I
real concerned for a minute.
No, he's okay. He's okay. Kate, did you have anything else you wanted to update listener on before I interrupted you?
Not that I can think of.
So my update is that I'm sending Hazel and Elijah Find Out to ARC readers. And I have, 30 days now until it releases. And I'm doing all that stuff. And then I also am still writing about once a week on my Christmas novella. I also pulled out of the Christmas anthology because I didn't trust myself to be able to do all the extra work that goes into, making sure you're holding your side of the deal in anthologies, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good choice. In the end, I'm going to have a Christmas book to release this year, and that'll be cool.
You know the emotions that you're in when you sign up for, like, a thing, and then the emotions you have later about it?
Yeah.
Like, they don't always align.
Yeah.
Because I remember last year, or at least also earlier this year, thinking, God, everyone's going to BookCons and, like, is present, and I'm like, man, I have so much FOMO about this. And, so I signed up for a couple of things, and now I'm, like, gonna start branching into doing events, and now I'm, like, sitting with him, like, but I don't like going to trade shows. And it's, like, just now hitting me months later. Like,
That's hilarious. Well, You only have to do like the one this year without me.
True. Yeah. And Anna's going with me to that one.
Oh, sweet, dude.
She's such a
Yeah.
sweetheart.
She is a sweetheart. I'm so
Really
excited that you guys will be together. And then next year we'll do.
We're doing book harvest at the same, I believe.
Yes, in
Both doing book harvest.
Chicago.
That's gonna be fun. And then after that, I have Monsterotica.
Oh, you have a couple you've signed up for. So you've signed up for 3?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like what's weighing on my mind. It's like they're so far out and I have to like plan ahead.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm so like simultaneously so excited but also like exhausted by like being part of these group chats. It's like I need to be present in them and I need to absorb everything possible and learn from everybody and like be ready because trade shows, like in my day job, the trade shows that I've been to and like not been a crucial part of, you know, attending them is still like my nightmare because like it's traveling, even though it's not traveling very far from me.
Yeah.
I have travel anxiety about like going to New York City. It's just because I fucking hate going to New York City.
That's fair.
I say that because I like to drive myself from place to place. In New York, you cannot do that.
I love not driving in Chicago. Like, and I also love walking in New York City.
Also, no to that. I can't.
I
went on a date with a guy in New York because he said he was going to make me handmade noodles for this picnic date. Like, I was like, promised the moon. We walked 30 blocks, like, just kind of aimlessly, and we got dollar pizza. I think I told you about this. I'm like,
motherfucker.
It was like, this is not what I was promised.
No,
like, it wasn't
not
a bad date, but it's also like, you raised my hopes so high, sir, and then delivered on none of them.
Yeah. Like, walking around is one of my favorite things to do in a city. I don't know if it's that, like, New York is built up so much and romanticized so much that it's just unfair, right? Like,
yeah.
For me, it couldn't live up to the romance. It's like promising homemade noodles and delivering dollar pizza.
Literally. I mean, it's just a city. It's just
maybe not that bad. But yeah, no, New York is just, it's not my favorite city. I don't think I would have like a dislike for it if it weren't for the fact that it's so hype. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Some people are going to come for me about my New York opinions, I suppose. But they haven't come yet, so.
I mean, they would have to write in, which.
Got you there! Okay, so you have these events coming up. You have to start paying attention and doing your thing and listening in on the group chats.
Yeah, and I think what it is that, what was it called? It was Reader's Take Denver happened, and there was a lot of drama in there, and just so much. And
there was even a little bit of drama at ApolloCon.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing mixed results on that, because I'm seeing some people going like, oh my god, it was so well organized, it's so good. Then some people being like, here's my list of grievances. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well,
you know, like, and I'm still kind of like, this is so stressful to listen to. It's like just reading people experiencing all the things I have travel anxiety about. Like, okay, cool.
This is working great. This is exactly what I needed right now.
Like the
is
thought
your first
of having
one?
to like the first one?
Yeah, when is your first
October.
One?
My first one's gonna be October, on your anniversary.
Woo! It's a great day.
I know, your favorite day.
It is by far a favorite day of mine. Top 5 days.
Top 5. Okay. I think that's fair.
Well, the other top 5 are like, you know, my birth, my children's birth, and my husband's birth. So,
I don't know. My thought was like the kind of the way you feel about a thing isn't always like the way you're gonna long-term feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not letting certain feelings influence the overall, you know, like there's, you know,
like trying to like kind of wash off like negative feelings you might have so the experience can actually reflect what it is.
Yeah, because like I want to hold on to the whole being excited about it and, you know, being really happy to go to these things.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's fair. My big gripe about group texts is that a lot of times they're giving really great information and advice, but my life doesn't ever let me focus in one direction, right? And so I'm getting this great
Right.
information, but I do not have the ability to sit down and read it and digest it, or to like put it in a notes situation. So it's like, well, I'll come back to this. And like, I don't know who I think I am in the future that I'm going to come back to this, but it's just not really in the cards, right? And so like, I
Right.
end up having to know that the information was right there, but I'm learning it from scratch now that I can actually implement anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It feels like I'd be stupid not to take advantage of this,
Yeah.
but I don't have the bandwidth or capacity
Yeah.
to absorb its wisdom
Yeah.
at the moment.
And I can't stop doing the task that's in front of me right now to like shift my focus. So that's how I feel about group text.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I like having a group chat that just kind of rambles on and it's like I don't need to participate every waking moment. And for that, it's nice that you can still like read the text and feel included, but like not exhausted.
Well, and it's one thing if like in the group text there's like a search function, right? So
Oh,
if it's like,
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, that's amazing to be able to like search booth and then have people like all the suggestions for how to like set up a booth and what to bring for your booth. I don't know. We'll have opinions and thoughts on this after we go to some shows and like what to do to
Yeah.
prepare. Yeah, that'll be good. I did see Lauren Connolly's, her ApolloCon table looked really cute, and she had like these like wooden like crates that she set
Hmm.
on their side to do bookshelves, and they looked really cute. And she has such a great array of books. If you haven't seen it on Instagram, you should look.
I love screenshotting them and being like, I'm gonna analyze this later and like get good
Yeah.
ideas, and then like absolute backlog
Yeah.
of screenshots in my phone.
Absolutely. because of all the group texts. Like,
Yeah, right? Like
yeah.
there's just so much of it. There's so much of it. And I don't know. I think what I'm trying to kind of, if I could articulate one thing this episode, is that the feeling overwhelmedness of it, if that's a
Mhm.
word.
Absolutely. I don't know, that's kind of the way I am like trying to approach my writing business in general, where I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to bite off what I can chew, and like whatever doesn't happen doesn't happen. I don't ever like doing things partially, right? And that's kind of
Yeah.
what it feels like, but also
But it's that thing that you had said like a while back, like, are you happy with the amount of stress that you have?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I look kind of at the broad scope of like where I want my writing career to go, is like I would like to not be more stressed than this. I don't feel like I could handle more than that right now.
Well, and
And
also
for the foreseeable future.
I don't want to be in a place where I allow myself to be so stressed that I don't find joy in this,
Yeah.
right?
Or like
I
beholden to
exactly. I want to
you know,
continue to write and create and publish, and I don't want to get to a mental state where I have to stop doing this because it's not bringing me joy.
mm,
So I want to
yeah.
hold this thing sacred.
Let's focus on that. Like, what
Yeah.
does cultivating joy in your writing mean?
Well, I've thought a lot about this, and a big part of what brings me joy is actually sharing my work with people and having them tell me what they think of it. Right?
Right?
Like that's a
Right.
huge part of it. And so cuz I could just write and not publish, right? I could just keep everything to myself, but that is not the part that I really want. Like I love writing for me, but what I really want is to hear other people tell me that they love what I write. And I don't need it from a lot of people. I just want to hear it a couple times throughout the year. Right? Like, and
Yeah.
like that, we've talked about this last year. I think one of the reasons why I got so low was because I didn't like publish an individual book. I was in an anthology and I did my like novella. I think it kept me from getting that like rush of having people reach out to me specifically telling me that they like what I do. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just really careful to make sure that, yes, that I do push out a new book every year because I want the feedback. that good review really was awesome. I like it.
I'm glad. I'm glad that it's gonna like fuel you for the next,
Yeah,
for like however long, because like
yeah,
that's such a special feeling,
it is.
and
It
I hope
really
you get
is.
more in the coming weeks as well.
Well, and it was really fun because, like, she said something about Remy too, and I was able to be like, "Hey, Remy is a side character in Just Fake Married. Like, you should see how cute he is in there." And she's like, "Oh my god, totally sold!" Like, yay!
Right?
So, it is working. But yeah, what about you? What do you do to cultivate joy? I'm sorry to sniffle, guys. There's just not much I can do about it. And I painted my nails, and my tissues are stuck inside the box, so I can't fix it.
Just
So
gotta go on your sleeve.
I no.
Gotta gross it up. You
Gotta gross it up. My sleeves are too short. It's like right by my
No.
face.
When Gargoyle when it came out, and I had so much anxiety about that book, and
Hmm.
I think I was putting a lot of pressure on it, and I knew I was doing it, but I couldn't figure out how to stop doing that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I wanted it to do as well as the Orc book did, but
Hmm.
I kind of knew ahead of time that just because it was the third in a series, it wasn't going to, and that was going
Well,
to be disappointing no matter what.
I think so many things about the orc book, those tropes, like, were just really satisfying to people at that exact time too.
I mean, it caught a lucky break, and I'm
It
glad that it
did.
did at the same time. But like, I don't know. I don't have enough thoughts on that yet. I need to like
Hmm.
ruminate some more as I do. But what I was gonna say was like, so with the Gargoyle book, I think I was so afraid of like seeing like even one person compare it to like the Orc book. And as soon as I saw someone say that, like, the Orc book was better, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna look at any reviews. And then I didn't. And then I felt like so, like I didn't get the
Yeah.
rejuvenation that like hearing people say, oh, I
Yeah.
love this book. It's hard, to like keep kind of
It
pushing
is.
forward. The Wolf book was like for me like an act of prioritizing my joy in things because it was like this is my dessert project that I just kept chugging on for a while and
Hmm.
chugging on. That sounds so like I meant like a
Just
train, but like it feels like
just
there's
sucking it
another
down.
imagery. I'm just sucking on, just gnawing on it.
Just gnawing on it.
Just a dog with a bone.
Get
You know
it?
what I
Like a wolf.
mean. Ugh.
We're going to hop and skip into a completely different spot. I'm sure we'll come back to this subject, but I had like the most random thought. I am reading one
Okay.
of the most heartbreaking Dark Night, like breakups. We haven't even gotten to the Dark Night of the Soul. We are in the breakup, and it is the saddest shit. Oh my god, it's ripping my heart out of my chest. It is A Rogue of One's Own by Evie Dunmore. Absolutely in love with this series. I loved the first book so much that like I avoided this book for a long time, probably like a year. And then finally I picked it up and it's so good. I think I like it better than the first one. This heartbreaking breakup scene is just so impressive. And that's kind of my thoughts on that. I just wanted to let you know. I could go further into like why it's so heartbreaking.
I don't think you've told me much else about this book so far. Like,
So it's set in London, well, I guess Oxford, in the 1920s. And it's based around suffragettes are all the heroines, right? And so
okay, fun.
automatically super interesting history that we're talking about. I definitely told you to read Bringing Down the Duke, and I continue to tell you to read Bringing Down the Duke.
All right.
This is like your quarterly reminder to read that book. Um,
I appreciate
uh,
it.
you're welcome. You're welcome. So this is a woman who has like self-proclaimed herself a spinster. She has independent money and she is actively fighting the Women's Property Act or something. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but it's like the act where like a woman getting married, all of her property goes to her husband, right?
Yeah.
And so like, obviously she's not interested in getting married, right? like she's not interested in losing all of her assets and her freedom. So like a big, awesome no way right there. And then we have the rogue who was supposed to be the spare, but now he is the next in line for this earldom. And he's a total rake. And they have like a history between them. So there's really great like enemies and like bickering back and forth. But this breakup is like heart-wrenching because like ultimately she is stepping into the position of like protecting herself without asking questions, and like not just protecting herself but accepting more responsibility than she should. Does that make sense? Like she's like, you said this and I did this. I am now responsible for my actions. You warned me anyway. Right? He has realized how deeply he feels for her, and she has like, she is still in the position of like really just blaming herself for the fact that her feelings have grown so much, right?
Aww.
And it's like, it's just so well done how it's like all the emotions are peeling back and you have been in their heads so perfectly that you really understand them and how they think and what's going on. And it's really good. So I definitely suggest it. It's so good.
Well, so like, I think it's so lovely that like you're having that experience where like the thoughts feel like they're perfectly like supporting this kind of terrible moment, you know, like everything has led up to this. And you know, like I think the fear that somebody won't get that experience when they read this, like my next thing is this fear that's been sitting on my heart, you know, like that. What if like all the stacking of like emotions that I've been trying to do has not, like the equation doesn't finish out the way that I did, like I thought it would, and other people are gonna like feel incomplete about it, you know?
Well, I don't know if you necessarily, I think that when you feel incomplete about it is when like the foundation hasn't been set and somebody does something out of character. Does that make sense? I would say that it's not every book that I read that I'm like, wow, these emotions were incredibly, perfectly supported. And so I don't know if someone would feel cheated by it or anything like that, but they might not have like this moment of awe that I'm experiencing with this book, right? But I also think that this author, it's a traditionally published book. She has all this access to time and editors and you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's fair to be like, if I don't create something like this, then I haven't created something great. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know what sort of knowledge this woman has herself. I've never looked into Evie Dunmore. She knows a lot more about history than I do. History? Gosh darn it. Did you hear how I said that?
History.
History than I do. Egots. I don't think that what she has done to this incredible capacity makes what I do any less important. Also, someone else might read her book and not connect to it the same way I do. It is such an individualized, personalized experience. There are authors out there that I read and I am like, I do not understand where they find their readership, right? Like this is, I don't get it, right? But their readers love them and they will pick up any book that they write. And so like, I understand what you're saying where you're like feeling that anxiety and it's like impossible to turn it off. Think that you are very talented and very cognitive about the choices you make and how you like lay your characters and your story. And I guarantee that you have done a good job. You know what I mean? Like, I think that you have done a much better job than you give yourself credit for.
You are just too sweet to me.
I love you. I love you so much.
Oh my god. I cannot wait to meet you this month. This is going to be so cool.
I can't wait to hug you so much. I've told you my mom needs to meet you too, right?
The meanest cat fight when they were together, and then the podcast ended in shambles.
Oh no! Live on air.
Live on air.
Tune in, listener. Tune in. I've told you my mom is like Amanda, or Marty. Of course, she calls me Marty. That's what she calls me. She's like, I have to meet her. I'm like, I know, Mom. Of course you'll meet her. No, you don't understand. I have to meet her. I feel like I already know her. I feel like she comes to Thanksgiving dinner. Like, okay, Mom. That's a lot. So my mom feels passionately about you.
I'm so excited to meet her too. That's gonna be.
She is the dollest. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
I love my mom so much. You will adore her. I always feel like this is Mom. Sorry. This is how I feel. She's gonna hear this and she's gonna be like, "That's not what people think." I feel like people meet me and they're like, "Oh, I like her," and then they meet my mom. They're like, "Oh my God, I love her."
Your mom is so much cooler than you, Marty.
Now you're kind
She's
of a
my
letdown.
friend now.
Dude, there are friends of mine that would pick her over me in a breakup, okay?
Oh no.
It's okay. I get it. She's a delight. I worship her too. So I painted my nails. I painted my nails. I haven't wanted to paint my nails. They're like a really like light pink. I was gonna do like a rose gold glitter over them, but I haven't been wanting to paint my nails while we talk because I think I'd like took it a step too far. Where I was like, I have to file them, I have to do this, and now I need to do my cuticles. So just I think I'm simplifying
process
everything.
Of it.
Yeah,
I think because I have not done my nails properly in probably at all this year. I feel like.
Yeah, I know. Same. The last time my nails were done were because like Jude did them, and she did my toes too, and they're so cute.
I got this glitter nail polish that is still slightly on here from like beginning of April, I want to say.
Yeah.
Because Austin's mom was like, "Do you want to paint your nails with this glitter polish with me?"
That is so cute.
I was like, you know what? Yeah, it'll take 2 minutes. And then it was like, this stayed forever. It stayed so much better. I have no idea what brand it was.
We gotta figure that out.
Cheap like dollar store 6-pack of glitter things.
Jeez, oh,
like
Pete.
It may have just straight up been glue and glitter. For all I know.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so my Christmas novella.
Your Christmas novella has like this structure to it that is making me think of like, oh, that Chris Nolan movie.
Well, that's flattering.
Nolan.
I will tell you.
No, like what the not Inception, the other mindfuck one with like backwards timeline.
Memento? Memento?
Memorandum?
Is it Memento?
You have a complicated timeline in this story. And I every time you tell me about it, it's like I think I'm following it, but like it's so abstract. I'm like, I can see that like it's like you're walking backwards and tracing your own footsteps to like get out of this foreshadowing.
Yes.
To make everything like line up properly. I'm like, God. Like, and when you told me that you were like moving really slowly on it, I was like, yeah, because it's taking the most planning anything it's ever needed.
Okay, it's really funny because like, yeah, it's definitely playing with time in a way that romance definitely normally does not play with time, right?
Yeah.
But I think it works because it's hitting emotional beats at the right places, right?
Okay.
And I also think that the average romance reader will still enjoy it because, like, I'm stating at the top of every chapter where you're at in time, right?
Okay.
And so, like, I think it'll work great.
Sometimes, though, if you have to make me think of, like, look at a calendar and, like, tell me by, like, the clock or the time or, like, the day of the week, I will look at it and be like, I don't remember what the last chapter was.
But I think it'll still, because it doesn't really matter what the last chapter was. It matters where the reader's emotions are at. And it matters that the emotions line up in this chapter with what they're expecting.
Yeah, and, like, I'm not saying that, like, you can't pull this kind of stuff off. You can, I think, especially if people flashback structure, it does make sense, I think.
Yeah.
You just gotta, like, time it out so that it lines up and builds the way you want it to build.
Well, and I also think that you might not be the reader for it, but I definitely would be. right? Because I love weird timeline stories anyway, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I love them too. It's just, when they ask me to do math.
I'm doing everything in my power not to make anyone do math. Like,
Roxy Noir posts threads. So, like, this is just like a theme she comes back to about nobody do math about how my characters'
yes.
ages work out here. Like,
Yes.
or like what year I said they were, like, how old they are and like what their like pop culture like reference points are. Like, Roxy, please, you have so much anxiety about this because you keep coming back to it.
She does too.
I love her to bits, but I keep going like, I'm not thinking critically about these things when I read your books.
Well, I think maybe the message there is that she has people asking or pointing out, like, hey, you said this happened here at this time, but this happened here at this time. You know what I mean? I think she might be having readers, like, pointing it out to her that, like, maybe there's a fault, or maybe they're asking
in the
like,
math.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, why don't you have more babies in your books? And she's like, because I don't know how much time has passed. Shut up. But yeah, no, she totally does that tweet and that message pretty often.
She does that like
a couple times a year, and I laugh at it every time. So, also, dude, she did this incredible timeline like flowchart situation too. So she did actually narrow it all down. I geeked out pretty hard.
I've been thinking, like, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of throwing into the pot of this recipe just, like, every single, like, little thought that there's not enough there to put a whole episode into, but it's like, I just have this in my fridge. Here you go.
That was kind of, like, my Dark Knight thought, where I was like, hey, we're just gonna change subjects now. Like, I'm gonna tell you this, like, thing I'm reading about right now and enjoying. But okay, so what ingredient do you have in your fridge?
Forever ago, I wrote a book, and this is my saltwater book. I've told you a little bit about it.
Okay.
It's currently shelved because I wrote it forever ago and tried it so hard to edit it, and like I think never really felt like I got it to a place where I was satisfied with how everything built up. I think what it needed was a lot of rest, and it's just getting that currently. Who knows if it'll ever see the light of day. But one of the things that I really struggled with was because at one point I really wanted the title to be 7 Days to Seduce a Sailor.
That's so funny.
Don't ask why.
That is
title,
so funny.
The vibe is just, for the title is off because the book is dour as hell. And
so like Saltwater Heart is like definitely better.
I think it fits the vibe a little bit better, like I think it all like the book
I think you definitely
have a bit of a tone inconsistency,
I think you 100% should write 7 Days to Seduce a Sailor though.
Well, so the thing it was like she's stuck in a port city. It's still in the plot of this book that she's stuck in a port city or just very like a small fishing town. She's waiting for like the ferry to come back. She has to wait a week so that she can get out to this other part where her grandma lives, and she's stuck here, and she just kind of falls in love with this sailor, and she's because and she's also learning that she's a mermaid in the meantime. It was a cute story. I do miss it. I remember feeling so much stress about like pushing all the chapters so that they all fit into like enough days and like counting down the days because like until she has to leave because it was such a plot point because it was going to be the title. And this time, like, I've written like another, like the Wolf book, I've kind of keep vaguely mentioning, oh yeah, the events of this book kind of happened over the course of a week. Are there more days than a week in here? Who's to say? I haven't added them up. the lackadaisy nature of what's going into this book, I'm just like, might be surprised. That's for my editor.
Okay. But, I mean, the best thing about it, though, is, like, you could loosen up your timelines, right? So, like, at the beginning of the book, when you're like, the wedding's in a week, you could be like, the wedding's in about a week, right?
About how week has passed. Well, because, like, also there's this, because they're werewolves, I'm, like, counting down to the full moon. I'm like,
oh my gosh,
what phase should I say it's in tonight?
Oh, that's
It's almost
so
there.
much. Okay, that's so much. Is having to keep track of the phases of the moon. That's a lot.
Straight up did not. I was like, you know what? You know what? We should have a full moon at the end of this book. All right, let's say there is one. Like,
you know, as a family, they're really bad at keeping track of this. What are you gonna do?
my God, my favorite thing. I fucking love the family dynamic in this. Like, it's
Oh, I
toxic
love
and
it.
funny at the same. Like
I
it's
agree.
bad, and it's like, oh, you guys should go to therapy. But it's also like, yeah, you will
This
never
is-
convince them to go to therapy.
No, and it's awesome. Like, it's so much fun.
Yeah, like,
I feel like mine is like my Christmas novella is like toxic and they should go to therapy, but not at all in a fun way. Like, it's just sad.
I think
Oh,
what
God.
it is that I wrote about three brothers who are like, whose idea of like making up after a fight is like, what if we lit a soccer ball on fire and like kicked it
That's
around for a while?
hilarious. That is totally their vibe.
Like,
yeah, meanwhile, I'm writing about sisters who hate each other. So
right?
it's completely different.
I mean, no, believe me, the way they hate each other in this book is definitely there, but it's also like part of the plot.
Yeah, and like also I think I have figured out what happened, or at least a better idea of what happened to like cause the
Okay.
rift between the sisters.
Okay, that's
It
good.
is, yeah, it's incredible how writing on it, like actually writing and like getting to know the characters more and being like, oh, so that's like, because what I was thinking happened, I couldn't ever figure out how to make it work. And then as I was writing, I was like, no, that's so interesting. And like my initial plan just didn't make sense. And like it's really interesting how like actually working on it will open up the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like you can see the disconnects that maybe when you were kind of doing the broad strokes of it, you couldn't
Yeah.
see.
Well, and then also like I learned something about a character more in depth that just made some things clear, you know?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking the sister who was to blame.
Yeah.
Now that I know what I know, I'm like, oh, she's not to blame. Like, she is deeply not to blame. Anyway, sorry to talk in code.
No, you're good. Like, I know you have to, like, not give away the ending. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to, like, also work around not doing that.
Yeah.
Do you have writing advice, Marty, for a listener?
Listener. Maybe actually do the work and whatever's got you stuck will get figured out. That would be my writing advice.
Heartless. Do the work.
Do the work.
Eat your
Oh my God.
vegetables.
Eat your vegetables. It was so, oh, I'll tell you later. Anyway, someone gave similar advice to someone else in my real estate team, and it was very much like, well, yeah, that's how it works. You actually have to do the work, but like you got to do the work to do the work, right? Like it's kind of empty advice.
It's wild how that works.
Yeah. Anyway, take my empty advice, listener. Take it. Take it. What about you, Kate? You got better advice than me?
When you constantly have to figure out what a brand is for yourself, I think it's good to keep that idea as kind of like malleable as possible. Don't like really box yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
And that can create like a lot of unnecessary pressure when you're trying to stick to something and then your creativity is pulling you the other way.
That's really interesting. You're talking branding as far as like the actual like content you write, not marketing branding.
A little of both, you know? I feel like,
Yeah.
and also like, you know, I think it's very easy to commit ourselves to something and then not give ourselves the room to grow.
I agree. There's this Instagram account that's Rate the Romance. And she every once in a while will be like, there'll be the first slide and it'll be all pretty in her normal like aesthetics, and she's like, and then it'll have like an arrow pointing, and she'll be like, a meme I would share if I was being classy as AF, and then you swipe and it's like this silly little meme, right? like
Yeah.
that tongue-in-cheek is like part of why the branding works, right? Like not only is she keeping the image so it looks good on her like homepage, her profile page, but also like the personality of that first slide fits really well with her.
I take it.
Yeah. So Kate, where can listener find you?
I have a website, kate-pryor.com. You can find me on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, supposedly. Podcast is now mostly available on YouTube, as, keeping up with it.
Good for you.
I think that's kind of it. I have a newsletter. I'm working on it. There's going to be things on it soon.
Oh shit, I'm supposed to do a newsletter tomorrow. Okay.
Ooh.
Yep, gonna add that to my to-do list. So listener, you can find me at martyv.com and sign up for my newsletter there. And you can find me at martyvauthor on TikTok and Instagram. And Hazel and Elijah Find Out is coming out May 30th. If this hasn't come out already, you should totally pick up your copy of that book. It is so fun. And yeah, that's it, listener.
Bye.
Bye.